Welcome to the Intentional Fatherhood podcast, where we give you a strong biblical framework and lots of practical ideas on how to live intentionally as a father and a husband. I'm Brooke Moser.
And I'm Justin Whitmore Early, and we're your hosts to guide you through the many roles and challenges that God is calling you to live intentionally as a father. We're following a visual framework that you can check out at intentionalfatherhood.org, and it's going to help you break down fatherhood into 8 callings.
And in each one, we're going to talk about how God made you to be a father and what practical habits you can start trying today in order to live intentionally into that calling.
So come along with us as we follow Jesus on this journey towards being more intentional fathers.
Welcome back to the Intentional Fatherhood podcast, episode 7. We've made it, Justin. 7 episodes in. These last couple of episodes that we have for the season, I'm very anticipatory about. I don't know if that's the right word.
I don't know. I like that word.
I like it.
Maybe it's new to me. But I am also excited.
You are good because this is, well, you're going to set this up. So I hope you are excited because you got to talk about it. But wanted to just say thank you. It's been so fun to get your questions that have come in. It's so encouraging to hear from you all, to have those who have rated the podcast and subscribed to it and left comments. Thank you. And if you haven't had a chance to do that, please just pause, do that. It's so helpful. And on YouTube, subscribe there. Anytime we drop new content, it shows up. And we hope this has been helpful. And as a reminder, we are actively would love to hear if you have questions. All you simply need to do is what, Justin? Tell them what we need to do.
Email us.
Yes.
hello@intentionalfatherhood.com.
.org. It would have been bad. It's okay. It's in the show notes.
So close.
But you fixed it.
Yeah, you're better at this than I am. But leave us a voice memo. Mm-hmm. Tell us your name, where you're from, and what question you have, or what comment you have, because we'd love to hear about it. And we will do more of these and address them.
Oh, we will. It's exciting. We are already planning stuff. So hope you guys have enjoyed the adventure, and thank you for going with us. But today for our conversation, again, if you want to, the visual, we've said this every time, but intentionalfatherhood.org, check out the paradigm, the visual that we've been working off for this season's content. And truth be told, we're not going to make up like a new paradigm every season, by the way. We're going to continue to dive deeply in this, right? But this is just, again, fatherhood is in the center of intersection of so many different paradigms. And so we want to talk about another one of those today.
Yeah, this whole thing for us comes out of realizing that fatherhood is a lot more than just having a child. It is, it's being a husband, it's being a father, it's acknowledging your past, as we talked about, it's anticipating your legacy. You're an apprentice of Jesus. You're also an embodied apprentice. And this last axis, I'm really excited about because I love work. I love my job. I'm a lawyer. I also do writing. And so in this last axis, we're going to kind of move in those areas, the area of finding work. That's this episode. Mm-hmm. And then the next one, we'll talk about finding meaning.
Yes.
And so you can kind of think of this as the work that you have to do and then the work that you want to do.
Yeah.
You can sort of think of it as vocation and then hobby. But we need to learn how to work in this world for the sake of others, for love. Find a vocation. Or earn money for your family. Mm-hmm. But we also need, and we'll talk about this one in the next episode, to find parts of life that we just love, like loving your work, finding a craft, a hobby.
Yes.
And so your fatherhood needs you to find work. We'll start there. And in the next episode, we'll say your fatherhood needs you to find meaning. Mm-hmm. But let's dive in. Your fatherhood needs you to find work. We are made to work. Can I share my story? Because I tell people all the time,
yes,
I used to be a missionary in China. And now I'm a corporate lawyer who also writes. And so people have a lot of questions.
I have questions and I already know I know the through line. And you ask permission to share your story. I'm going to say, no, I don't want to hear it. No, go in depth. I think even that paradigm that you just set up is really helpful in communicating how complex and not linear
it is.
A lot of this is, and our stories become. So please, yes, take it.
Yeah, I have lots of friends who often say, like, if we don't have Richard Scarry jobs anymore. We don't have jobs where you can look into a children's book and like identify like, oh, you're a lawyer, a dentist, or a doctor. Some of us do, but so many of us do things where it's like, how did you get here? What does it mean? Like,
that is so.
You're a consultant. You're a technology project manager.
Man,
like, what do you
feel that?
You know?
Oh yeah.
And lots of us have nonlinear stories or, jobs that are hard to explain. I sort of have a job history that's hard to explain, but here's my story. So I graduated from University of Virginia, and a lot of my friends in the campus ministry I was in, Campus Crusade, now called Crew, it was, we had a partnership with China. And so I was actually really excited after college. I was either going to go tour with this Screamo band and try to cut a new album.
We just realized recently that we both play drums.
We have something in common. We play drums.
We should just set up two drum kits.
You better than me, I think.
No, we should set up two drum kits and just go hard.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Stick around for the next season because we'll do that.
It's just two microphones with drums in the room. Terrible episode.
So I had this hobby in college. I was in a couple bands, and I thought like I'm either going to do that and try to figure out how to make that into a living. I don't think it would have worked. Or I was like, I had this opportunity to go do missions work in China. And I felt really called to do that. I actually thought that would be a great way to, spend some years after college. I never thought it would be my whole life.
Okay.
And it really was. The Lord honored that. I had such an amazing experience as a missionary in China, but it was there that I had my real calling experience that launched me into a life of work. And so I'll tell you what happened. Because I don't think you know this story.
I don't know if I do.
So I was a missionary in China for almost 5 years. Around somewhere in the middle of my third year, I was in Shanghai, China, and I walked out to the center of the city. You can picture like New York meets Las Vegas. This is the Times Square area of Shanghai, China. So like I was in the city center. There are, skyscrapers everywhere, like foreigners everywhere, Chinese people everywhere. It's sort of like the East meets West, communist meets capitalist. Okay. Just the center of Shanghai. And I was walking out onto this pedestrian street, and I passed a guy who was like, "Hey, do you need a laptop?" And he actually opens his jacket, and there's I kid you not, like a laptop sized pocket sewn into his jacket. Because this was a black market thief. Like,
got it.
He has like stolen a computer in the way that you might in New York City see somebody open their jacket and it's like a bunch of fake Rolexes. This guy opens his jacket, it's a big computer. And it's like, "You want to buy a computer?" And I'm like, "No, clearly you stole that. I don't want like stolen computer." And I walk onto the middle of the road, and I had seen a lot of that, like a lot of black market, but I saw something I'd never seen before in the middle of the street. A lady was unfurling a sign, and she was doing it very intentionally. And I was like, "What is going on?" I walk over, and I read Chinese, but it was really slow. So it took me a minute. And it said, "The judicial system in China is broken. The people in the countryside are being oppressed." And that's as far as I got. Okay. Because by that time, 100 or 200 people had packed around us. And they were like, "Me, oh my gosh, this is a political protest happening in China," which, by the way, they don't happen often in China.
Yeah.
If you know anything about China.
They shut it down.
They shut it down. And that is exactly what happened. So within a minute or two, I'm surrounded by a couple hundred people. We're all like trying to read the sign. And there's motorcycle cops pulling up to the outside of the circle, pushing their way through. Cop pushes his way to the center. And he looks at this lady and he's like, "You're not allowed to do this." And she looks at him and she goes, "But you know what I'm saying is true." Oh. And I'm standing there like the white, like American in the middle of this sea of Chinese people. And I, quintessential American, decide to insert myself into the situation.
No.
Let me just say, there were really two rules to being a missionary in China.
Yeah.
Rule number one, share the gospel with people.
Fair.
Students, we're doing campus ministry, so we're sharing the gospel with students. Rule number two, whatever you do not get involved with political protesting. Like whatever you do, that will get you sent home so fast. And so here I am breaking the cardinal rule of being in China, and I'm like inserting myself. And I tell this cop, I say, "Hey, which one?" It's weird that like a white guy's speaking Chinese and interrupting the moment, but it's not weird in China to interrupt these moments. People actually, there's a sort of a name for it. It's called renao. Like there's like a going on, and people like will talk back and forth. So it wasn't crazy that I was talking to the cop, but I was like, "Hey, real quick."
You were speaking to him in Chinese, by the way, because you were fluent in Chinese, which is very impressive.
I'm proficient.
You were
it's
preaching.
hard to be
You were
fluent.
preaching Chinese sermons.
I did get to the point where I was preaching in Chinese.
Okay, so that's legit.
No, I was proud of it. I've forgotten almost all of it now. It's very painful, but I was. So
you were speaking to him in Chinese.
Yeah. So I started in Chinese. I was speaking to him, and I said, "Hey, I just saw a thief, a black market thief. If you would like to actually arrest somebody worth arresting, I could point out someone, doing a crime." And he looks at me and he waves his hand in my face like that, which is basically a Chinese gesture for "shut up." and then they put the woman in a van and drive away, and the crowd disperses. And like, moment over. Like, my act of heroism did not work.
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm like amazed by this moment. I'm walking away when I hear a guy over my shoulder go, "Psst, hey, you want to buy some marijuana?" And I wave my hand in his face like, "No, shut up. I don't want marijuana." And I'm like walking home. I'm thinking about all the brothels that I'll pass on the way home, that I can like literally see them from here. Like the windows of these, they look like barbershops with pink neon lights, which was the signal for a brothel. And here's the point, Brooke. In a span of like 5 minutes, I saw 4 things that were illegal in China. All of them: black market thieving, drug selling, prostitution, and political protesting. All 4 of these things are illegal in China. But as it turns out, 3 of them are great ways to make money. You can steal stuff and sell it on the black market. It's a good job. You can sell drugs. It's a good job. You can sell your body. It's a good job. But if you talk about the way that this system is broken, which, by the way, those 3 things are prime examples of how the system is broken. It's hard to make money unless you are selling your body. You will get arrested right away. And so I had this, like, the Lord gave me a moment in the wake of that where suddenly the world popped into another dimension. I had come to China to share the gospel with people in this theory of horizontal change, that if I changed, if the gospel changed somebody, they would go change somebody else, and so on down the line. I call it sort of horizontal because that's the picture I had. There's nothing incorrect about it. It's true. Like, it is one way that we change the world. So I love it. I still support missionaries in China who are preaching the gospel. But the world popped into another dimension that day, and I would call it this like top-down dimension where, there are forces going on. There's systems of economics. There's systems of law that are shaping people's lives and outcomes. And it mattered. It changed the possibility of how they could love God and love neighbor. And I had this feeling of like, I want to be involved in that. And so strangely for me, it was like, I want to be involved in shaping systems. I want to be involved in like doing that. And what came to mind in like the wake of that moment was, I want to become a lawyer. Because like, we deal in systems of law and economics. We shape them. We shape transactions. We shape laws. And so I actually left China with this feeling that I felt called to live missionally in this vocation of law and business. And I share that because I still now today feel that when I think about my job, and I'm a corporate lawyer. Yeah. I think about it as, how am I called into this world to shape the world a little bit more in the love of God? And I'm very convinced that you don't need to be a pastor or a nonprofit worker to do that. That our work in the world, we say vocation, right? Because it comes from the vocare, the Latin idea of, you are called to do something in this world. And this to me is like, this was such a gift to me at that time, because I think the Lord opened up my life to this Genesis theology of work, that he made us to work Eden. He made us to garden the world, and that it's hard. We'll talk about in a minute. Like there's a lot of pain in that. There's a lot of difficulty in that. There's a lot of suffering in that. But before we talk about how work makes pain, we're made to work. Yes. And I've been living in that ever since. Like I genuinely still feel called to shape the world and the love of God by lawyering. And that brings me deep joy because I feel like I'm made for it. Now you do quite different things. Sure. You've been a musician, you've been a pastor. You run a nonprofit now. How do you resonate with this call that you're made to work?
First, I'm still just hung up that you're preaching in Chinese. That's like so legit. No, I would just say excellent story. Really cool, helpful story to really just describe a lot of what we're trying to say. You've found, I found as well, that when I don't have meaningful work, I do not thrive fully. It's when we talk about this paradigm, it's important.
Now, let's drill down on that.
Yeah.
When you don't have meaningful work, we don't thrive fully. Because I just want to note the reason that story is so meaningful to me, because it was the place where God gave me meaning, so that I'm not just working to earn a living.
Yes.
I'm working because I feel like God gave this calling to me. And when you don't have that, it hurts. It hurts. Unemployment is way worse than overemployment, I think. As in, like, I'd much rather be busy and driven and doing something that's hard and that asks a lot of me than underemployed or unemployed. Because it's so painful to feel like I don't have anything to do.
Yeah, well, and I think it's important to maybe see the fathers, specifically the men that are in a job that they hate and they go, ugh, I don't even know where my meaning in this job is. That it's primarily a money exchange. You give work, you get money. And we're going to talk about that there's an importance there to find meaning if your work doesn't bring some of that meaning. But you are made for work. And I think what I'm trying to highlight is that when I have meaningful work, or when I'm living into those realities that I am living into what I was primarily, or at least in part, made to do, there's a fulfillment that is really hard to match that. Like it's something that no other bucket can fill. Like it's not like I can borrow from another bucket and it fills this bucket up. Like work is an important part of our manhood.
I like that. It's not like you could find another, but like you have to.
It's like marriage and parenting. Unless you're married, unless you're a parent, there's nothing else like that in the world that except that, right? Like you can't say having a dog is like having kids. It's not. It's its own thing, and nothing else is like it except it. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, and I think it's because we've gone back to Genesis. I said it was my favorite book.
I mean, you weren't lying.
Because we are meant to be like God in shaping the world.
Yep.
Right. So God in Genesis 1 makes the world. And then the pinnacle of that is that he makes us, and then does this beautiful thing and calls us to be like him in shaping the world. And so I think the reason what you said is so true is because all of us ache to be like God, to make and to shape the world.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else that can fill that up besides making and shaping the world.
Yep. I exactly. And I think living into that work is so important to your fatherhood, because it balances you out. When that bucket isn't filled, or you're not able to do some of that, it really can unbalance us, or in many ways, at least in my experience. And so I would say that finding that reality, knowing that you're made for work, is important. I would also say that something that's super important is there's a lot of guys there. You are in a job that you didn't pick, but is very helpful for your family financially. And I think there's a lot of nobility in that. Like there's a lot of things to look at in that. Let me just say this. Sometimes you are in jobs that you don't know why you're in, and they are for money, right? But maybe there's a meaning that you don't fully see in it yet. Because I'm thinking of a good friend who runs an adult foster care home. He did not go into his career wanting or necessarily pursuing that, but an opportunity arose to buy this business, but then to basically become a caretaker for 5 different adults who need foster care. It's through the state. And in this job, and he would tell you, is the most shaping, helpful to his character type job. But he's asking some deep questions like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Was I made for this job?
Right.
Like,
does he like it?
Where's my meaning? I mean, parts, sure. I think some are rewarding, but a lot of it is very hard. And it's a whole curve to what he was doing. And so I think, like, for example, there's a ton of meaning in his work. He's doing beauty in the world.
Right. I mean, this is caring for people.
This is caring for people that are in their last years or months of life that no one else will care for, as an example. And he runs a business out of his home that is connected. You know, it's laid out really well. There's separation, right? But these people live in this home. And his job is to have a staff and people. And if his staff's not there, he's the one literally bathing, changing diapers, medicating adults who don't have anyone else in their life to care for them. He's constantly caring for people in their last moments. That's like there is so much meaning there.
Yeah.
But let's just be fair. How many of us run to sign up for that job, right? Like I'm not raising my hand being like, I want to change that diaper, right? Like you're not going, yes, you are actually in many ways going, have I missed it? Why do I have to do this? I'm not saying that I'm not saying that's how he feels fully. I am highlighting that there's a lot of jobs that we are in that I think we haven't discovered yet fully what the meaning is, but God has clearly opened that door and put us in for a reason. I think of another friend who has a very successful job, and he makes tons of money. I mean, just lots of money. And he kind of found himself in this job. He's young and he makes a lot of money, and he's asking the question like, I feel called to ministry, but I'm in this job that's like really successful. And I make lots more money.
I know so many people in ministry who would love to have that problem. Like, hey,
his problem is he can't not make a lot of money. It's a very funny, it's a funny juxtaposition. It's a conversation to have. But his heart was always like, I was called to ministry, doing it. And now it's been really cool to see how God has like been helping him see like, hey, maybe I actually gave you this job to fulfill some of the ministries that I want. Like, what if I was to use your resources and ability to make those resources to allow ministries to thrive and happen in ways that otherwise they wouldn't be able to? What if you started partnering with strategic people and using the gifts God's given you to bring beauty in the world in a way that wasn't your linear predicted way? These are just statements, but I think they're important to just, you're made for work. And sometimes I think there's a lot of guys that kick against their work and get mad at it because it's not what they are, like their ideal or what they want to do. But I would just say there's a journey to get to the thing that is what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's my story completely.
I was going to say,
journey.
I would encourage people. Somebody gave me a Venn diagram one time that really helped me think about this. If you can think of three overlapping circles, and one of them is what you can do, okay? Like what you're good at, or at least you can perform. Another one is what you love to do, okay? And then there's a smaller overlap there.
Yep.
And then the third one would be, what does the world actually need? Okay? At the center of that would be, that's an ideal vocation, okay? That's an ideal calling, because the world needs you to do what you're good at doing, and you actually enjoy that too. So if you're thinking, how do I find God's calling for me? That's a beautiful place to aim at. And that's a beautiful place to think through. What can you do? What do you love doing? What does the world need? But the reality is, we are all made for work. Yes, we are all made to do this. God made us to be workers. But in a fallen world, the ability to actually have that overlap is rare. I would say that I'm very thankful. I feel like in my corporate lawyering, I found something that I can do that the world needs and that I actually enjoy. But many of us, for long periods of our life, are going to be in one or the other of those circles, and or like we're moving. Like, I love doing this, and the world really needs it, but I'm not good at it. Like, you need to listen to feedback. You're not good at it. You're
finding that now. Really fair? Is this fair to say you're 40, and all of these worlds are finally starting to merge together? And they started before, right?
Well, I would say it was about at the age of 30 that they found it. So I feel lucky. I feel like,
and I would say that's on the early side.
It was on the early side. Actually, I would nuance it like this, Brooke. It was 4 years into my lawyering that I started writing as well. Okay. And we'll talk about maybe more of that in the next episode, because that was started as a hobby. But that was the point in my life where I was like, I have things to do that I love doing, that the world needs and that I'm good at. And they all started happening. It was about the age of 34 that I was like, okay, I can do this for the rest of my life. Yeah. And I actually think that's pretty early. Many people don't find that nearly that young, but it is to say, it actually did take a long time.
Well, I was just saying,
14 years of working in the world before I was like, okay, this is what I love doing. This is what I can do. This is what the world needs.
Fair. And I was going to say, like, if I actually think back, I was about 35 or 36 when that started for me.
It's a slow journey for you. You want to give us a recap real quick?
Yeah. So, I mean, I started, as was mentioned, I graduated early and I played drums. I was able to fake it till I made it, meaning just someone took a chance to say, hey, will you come out and do this tour with us? And I did. And it opened up a bunch of different doors for a handful of years to play music and travel around and do that. And, I think interestingly enough, I quickly realized even as a young dude, like, I'm not going to do this for my life. This is not sustainable for my soul. Ended up, too many stories long, ended up in being a middle school pastor and an intern at a church that my father-in-law was starting. Bottom of the barrel. I will not kid you. I made $1,100 a month.
Oh my.
A month. And that was like
You're
generous
living in poverty.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, all that said, I started there very reluctantly, like, oh man, ministry. And it was like 14 years of all sorts of growth, change, education in pastoral ministry. The whole time asking myself, do I really want to do this? What am I made to do?
Right.
How should I do this? But at the same time, recognizing, no, this is provision. God is calling me to this. There's stuff here.
Don't want to interrupt your story, but just, can I drill down one
Please.
second? This is important.
Yes.
So you were in a long season where you are not making a ton of money.
Yeah, it got easier, probably a year or two in as far as financially, but a long season. I mean, maybe 3 years, maybe. I think.
But this is the point.
Yeah,
you're not making huge money.
No,
you're making a little. You're making a little money.
Yeah,
doing something that you are not sure that you want to do,
and
you have a family. You are having kids.
Yeah,
and I just want to pause because I think a lot of people find themselves there.
Yep.
Like, I either don't like this job or this job's not making enough money. I have the demands of family, and they're like, I'm discontent.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about how I'm made to work because this sucks.
Yep.
But the Lord works.
Yeah.
Through our work.
Yeah.
It takes us a long time to find our calling. And by the way, you have to provide in the meantime. So you persevered, I guess. What happened?
Oh yeah. So long story short, I think it was that I mean, this sounds so Christian, but there was a part of it that was very true. I just never felt released to jump into other stuff. I couldn't figure out why. And there wasn't another passion in my heart. I just really felt, and my wife and others that were wise and speaking into my life really sensed like staying this trajectory and continuing to grow in this particular vocation was really important for my life in some way that I couldn't see. Interestingly enough, I have a pretty extreme personality, and I think pastoring and the responsibility of it, the call of it, the weight of it, the grind of it was, if I could be God and I'm not, was the exact thing that I needed to be shaped into the human that I needed to be to do what I do now. Because there was a lot of rough edges that needed sanding and molding and shaping, and pastoral ministry exposes all of the parts of you that are wanting things for the wrong reasons, forces you to die to yourself, constant humility. It requires ruthless faithfulness privately and publicly. You have to be in the same space every single week, multiple times a week, to say stuff in front of people. Like, it is a grind.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what I think my character needed to be shaped. Now, I would have told you, like, pastoral ministry, probably 10 or 11, 12 years into it, like, I'm probably going to do this for the rest of my life. And it wasn't because like I resigned and was like, I hate this, I'm going to do it. I started to see like, no, there's some beauty here. But I also whole time felt like this isn't it. But I couldn't like fully, like, this isn't it. Like, I don't think this is the medium in which this is going to live into its fullness. And so I lead a nonprofit now and all that different stuff. And that has been truly where I sense more and more of like who I am naturally, not who I think I am, but who I actually am, lines up beautifully with what I do now. And everything that I learned in pastoral ministry was the exact right thing to set me up for what I'm doing now, and to have the, whether that be education, experience, levels of failure before, so I could learn from those failures to be successful in these areas. And so I guess all to say, like, some of you are just right in the middle of that. You're just right in the middle of the thing. You haven't stepped into it yet. And sometimes it takes a long, long time.
And that's a lot of life. A lot of life is lived trying to figure out your calling, right?
Yes. But this is what I think it's important to go back to. Your fatherhood needs you to find work. You need work because there is something beautiful that happens in the discovery process. The discovery process keeps you hyper dependent upon Jesus. Yes. When you are trying to figure out I know that this isn't what I was made to do, but at the same time, I have hope that there's still something else. You sit in this place of dependence, which is exactly what brings you to a place of surrender, humility, and closeness to Jesus. Your fatherhood needs you to be in that space as much as you can be.
I really, really like that, because I think when you put work in the narrative of the whole biblical story, you have this grand call that we're made to work. That's creation. But then you also have this horrible fall that we work among the thistles and thorns, like things are broken. Mm-hmm. And so we have these dual sides of ourselves that we long to work, we long to find meaning, we long to do it. And yet it hurts and we can't find meaning.
Yes.
And I like what you're naming here, because I think it's in acknowledging both of those that we hit the grind that makes us more like Jesus, and we see the end of the story, and that is that one, redemption. Jesus, wherever we find ourselves in our broken work in whatever part, he's going to bring it to meaning. We might not see it all, but that is the promise. That nothing that we do, that he will take the work of our hands and do something with it. Maybe into the kingdom come, maybe now, but we labor in that hope. And so you have these two ideas next to each other that, you are made to work, but the other side is that work makes pain. And that is the sanctification you're talking about.
Yes.
By being, whoever's out there and you're like, well, I hate my work, it doesn't pay well, or it's just a grind. But you are being sanctified by saying, I'm going to do that anyway, because I need to provide for my family.
Yes.
I need to keep hustling. I need to do it. There is a holiness to that.
Yeah. I think maybe just to also drill down on what you're saying, work makes pain. It is painful. That process, as I look back, it was really painful. And honestly, I think that the greater work God calls you to, usually in my experience, I could be wrong, but the longer the process of preparation. We often get frustrated about our obscurity, but obscurity is the thing that is the most important. If a baby is born before its time, what's wrong? It's not good. It's bad.
Yeah.
Like if you have success before you're ready for it, it will destroy you. So if you're here listening to this and going, I just want to be this person who writes all the time and speaks and does this stuff. Like if that's your ache of your heart, then you better be ready for a journey that is long. And if you truly mean it in the way of Jesus, like obscurity is necessary for your thriving and flourishing. And you won't have, and those seasons of obscurity are lonely. They're frustrating. They're sad. There are a lot of why God moments.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of us find ourselves. But, I think work makes pain, but work sanctifies.
It does.
It sanctifies, right? And that's what we're talking about. That it is a sanctifying process to have to figure out and discover, what was I made to do?
Yes.
And really the gold in all this, men, really, truly, it is in the discovery process that the gold comes. It's the forcing of you having to figure this out and having to call a mentor and ask your best friend and have to wrestle with your feelings. That process makes you a good father, or rather a better father, a more rounded human.
Well, okay, completely agree. And there's also a very real tension there, right? Because if anybody's listening, they're probably already thinking, wait a minute, hold on. My work is the thing that makes me travel and I'm away from my family. My work is the thing that makes me mad and I come home stressed from my family.
Yes.
My work is the thing that makes me feel like I haven't found my calling. So I'm just chronically like empty and annoyed around my family. And this is where I think we want to both acknowledge the tension, but also acknowledge the call that one, work is the thing that puts you out of the house often. And let's talk about how to balance that with family time.
Yeah.
And two, let's talk about how work is the thing that often makes you mad and how it's our responsibility not to bring that home and take it out on our family. But I mean, first balance. Both of us have pretty demanding jobs that ask us to travel. How do you balance that with actually all the other intentional fatherhood stuff that we talked about for episodes now? Here we are right now, both of us couple nights away from our family as we talk about how to be intentional with our family. But hey, this is the reality, right? Like work asks you to leave the home often and do something else. So balancing time.
Yeah. I think the phrase that came to mind when we were talking about this is busy, but balanced. I find that if I am too busy, it is destructive for my family.
Yep.
But if I'm not busy enough, it's also destructive.
Good. There it is right there, I think.
So I think you have to just realize, fathers, please listen to me for my failures. When I don't have enough to focus my energy on, because I got a lot of it, I focus it on the wrong things on my family.
And some of you who are underemployed or unemployed, or honestly, I want to name this because I see this happening a lot now, are in a work from home job where you're just slacking off all day and not actually,
it's not good for you.
You're not actually living up to the potential, and you're getting away with it.
And you're making lots of money.
Yeah. Those will eat away at you.
Yeah.
You need to be demanded of.
Yeah.
There is a part of work that is just good, like that we are under the yoke of something, and we have to work.
Well, Proverbs is good for a young man to bear the yoke.
It is
his
good.
Youth, like his youth. This is the time, 40 is still your youth, or 20, 30, 40. So,
but there's also the other side of, many of us just do way too much.
Exactly. And so busy but balanced. And I would say busy but balanced is you have to figure out, usually by failure, what is too little and what's too much.
Yes.
And
I like it.
And what is too much often is felt by your family, your wife, your kids. Yep. And so I would say we've realized, like, I can travel about 2 times a month. That's my max.
Yep.
2 weekends a month, 2 nights at a time. That's usually what if it's outside of that, it's put it under consideration. Well, we're going to really look into it. It really needs to be worth it. Really needs to make sense. Needs to check some personal value boxes. For an example of this, like, you go away, it is a juxtaposition, and my kids joke about this with me. Like, you're going to go help families and leave your family. Like, they do this, right?
The irony is not lost on our wives.
Or our kids. My kids, actually, they do this all the time. Like, hey, you're being real intentional by leaving us. They joke with me about that.
It's a good joke.
I like it.
I respect it.
Oh, we laugh a lot. But I would just say, like, it is the balance of, hey, part of my job is to step into these worlds for micro amounts of time to help. And I'm always going to make sure that you are okay and taken care of, but I have to step away. And I'll just say this, it is so good for me to step away, meaning that too much, I feel the pressure of it, but just when it's right in that balance, going away, I just, by probably hour 5 of being gone, I'm just like, I already miss my family. I appreciate them so much. Man, why am I so grumpy about that? Why have I been so lame about that? I just appreciate them. Like, it resets me personally in a deep way. So I think work sanctifies, like we talked about. That's a point. Another point is, I think you need to be busy, but you need to be balanced. And having too much kills you. Having too little kills you. You have to be balanced in that. Overwork. And I just want to say this, overwork is often a thing that we husbands hide behind, and we fathers hide behind to not deal with deeper issues. And I think you have to be very honest and careful about that.
I think this is worth naming. So I'll talk about this on the daily schedule, because we both travel. Yeah. But there's also a daily rhythm to work.
Big time.
And what you just named is so important. Many of dads out there, you're listening, you use work to cope, and you use work to get away from your family, and you're working more and more because family's harder and harder. Mm-hmm. And it's wrong. That's not your calling. Your calling is not to use work to escape. Your calling is to use work to shape the world. But part of that is to say, I'm going to have limits to my work because my family also needs me. Yeah. So this has been really true in my life. One of the biggest travel rhythms are important, but I think you gave a good overview of that. The biggest thing in my life for Lauren and I has been, how do I shape the daily grind so that I can be faithful to work very hard and very well, and faithful to be very present for my family. Mm-hmm. And actually, I would just kind of hearken back to the spiritual disciplines episode that we did. Number 3. I think it was.
I don't remember the number.
Because for me, rhythms of, an hour with my phone off in the evening, family dinner is one of our major rhythms. Scripture before phone, meaning my phone is out of the morning. Those are just daily balances to say, I'm going to be with my boys. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to make them breakfast. I'm going to see them out the door. We do a little morning prayer before we go out to the door. Like, it's like 30 seconds. We say the same thing every day. But there's just a touch point. And then I go to work at 8 a.m. and I work really hard until, like, I'm not home until like 5:30 or 6. Like, that's a long window. But then when I'm home, my phone goes away. Yep. We have dinner. We're doing bedtime liturgies. And it's so on the daily, work is getting a lot of me. Mm-hmm. but my kids are also getting a constant of me, a regularness of me. And when you put that in the context of the weekly rhythm that I'm also going to be Sabbathing on, Saturday evening to Sunday evening, they're going to get a long 24 hours of me. I think that helps. We talked about last episode, what the normal of your family feels like. It's really helped me move from a very unhealthy place when I was a young lawyer. Yeah. And I was just constantly working. And my family was paying the price of it, to now having an integrated rhythm of family and work. And everybody listening is going to have to figure out their own rhythms, but hopefully that gives you some ideas to think. These two are not necessarily always battling each other. They can be put into integration. Yes. It takes a lot of work and practice, but they can't. That's what you should be seeking. An integrated life where you realize you're called to be a dad. You're also called to work. You're also called to be a husband. This is sort of a theme. Like, go look at the diagram. Your fatherhood happens at the intersection of all these callings. Work is one of them. Be faithful to it, but don't let it pull everything else into its gravity. You pull it into that center of following Jesus, into fathering, being a husband, let's end on this today, this one thought. Because what you're saying is, you wrapped that up beautifully. And just to give permission, I think, invitation. Yeah. If your job is demanding so much of you that you cannot keep it without damaging your family, there is a world where you can say no. And there's a world where you can start to pray and seek other jobs and opportunities that better fit the kind of man you want to be. And many of us have had to do that and do that. And there's a lot of things I've said no to in my life because it will destroy my family. Planting a church in New York City was one of those things. My family categorically could not, and it would not be good for them. It'd be so hard. Yeah. And that was a dream that I had for so long that I had to really, it sounds visceral, but I had to let die. Yep. And I've let it go. Now, it doesn't mean like my heart doesn't ache. I was telling you, there's a place where it aches. I don't get it. I just still don't understand why. I don't even know why. It's almost like, God, why would you dangle that carrot? And then, then the question comes to mind, like, was that God or was that me? Right? There's a lot of dynamics at play. So anyway, as we wrap today, I would just want to say, your fatherhood needs you to find work. You are made for work, and your work also makes pain. But can we just remind you to find your ability, what the world needs, what you enjoy? Sometimes, like you talked about, there's that Venn diagram. Sometimes we're just in the place where we enjoy it, but it's like not very lucrative. Like, I love what I'm doing, making no money. That was music for me. Like, this is rad, and I'm making no money. Yeah. But where does your ability, where does your enjoyment, where does the world's needs meet? And that's the goal, but that doesn't always, that's not the majority of your life. Most of our life to figure it out. You might not find it, but I really like that permission. Like, if you need to leave your work to make this work, then you need to go find a new job. Or some of you just keep seeking. Like, keep finding it, but it's worth it because you were made to work. You're made to work.